I know I'm just some random guy on the internet and we've never really met in person, but who wants to make a sex pact with me? No, I didn't think so. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Thumb Together, and today we're going to be talking about Blockers Together. This is a movie about a sex pact. There it is. I believed for a very long time that the hardest thing you can do successfully in the movie business is comedy. It's really tricky to pull off a great comedy. In the new millennium alone, since the year 2000, there have been, a gajillion movies that have come out, and I've loved a lot of them. But in terms of great comedies that have come out in this new millennium, I think I can count all the A+ ones on one hand. We got Superbad, we got Hot Fuzz, we got I Love You, Man. I think that's it. Comedy's just a very tricky thing to do, and because it's so hard to make, it's also very easy to disappoint. This year we have seen two big comedy films. We've got Game Night, and now we've got Blockers. So where does Blockers fall in all of this? Does it get added to the hand of joy? Do I add it to my list of great comedies of the new millennium? Out of the comedies of 2018 thus far, between Game Night and Blockers, Game Night is a better directed movie, but Blockers is a better written movie. Blockers did the job of being a comedy much better than Game Night did. It delivered a lot of laughs. Very few of them fell flat, which I felt was an issue with Game Night, where a lot of the jokes just kind of... Here, the laughs were not amazingly hilarious, but they were consistent and they were good. And there were one or two moments where they really peaked and they got interesting. So, of the two comedies, I would definitely take Blockers over Game Night. It's not without its faults, but hey, that's to be expected. So what's Blockers about? Well, if this logo here doesn't give you some kind of clue yet, Blockers is about a trio of teenage girls who have been BFFs since they were in kindergarten, and it is now prom night, and these three girls have decided they're tired of being virgins. They want to lose that virginity on prom night. It is deflower hour, and they are down. They are DTF. They made a sex pact with the three of them. They're like, tonight we're all going to lose our virginity at the same time, and it's going to be awesome. And their parents, who have been casual friends with each other over the years because their daughters have all been such good friends, their parents find out about this sex pact accidentally. The parents are played wonderfully by Leslie Mann, John Cena, and Ike Barinholtz, and they all bring something really cool and different to the table. They're all flustered, frustrated, not so great parents, but they all approach that characteristic in very different ways. Leslie Mann is this overbearing, smothering mother who wants to be her daughter's best friend and doesn't understand the concept of personal space. John Cena is this hardcore perfectionist, and he's super emotional, and he's mega protective of his daughter. He is ready to beat the living crap out of any boy who even looks at her the wrong way. And Ike Barinholtz is a divorced dad who is trying to win back his daughter's affections because she kind of has fallen out of touch with him over the years. So you've got these three very different kinds of parents who just want what's best for their kids, and they truly love their kids, but the parents need to grow up. And that, I think, is the key to Blockers. That's what makes Blockers not just another comedy. This is what kind of elevates it to the next level. Blockers is a coming-of-age story, not just of these three teenage girls, but of their parents. The parents are all kind of in their own weird states of arrested development, and they need to grow up, grow out of this old mentality that losing your virginity on prom night is some sort of horrible, wrong thing. And they need to move past that and learn to trust that their kids are mature enough to make these decisions for themselves. And that sort of arc with the parents and the kids interspersed throughout is really, really cool. On top of that, the kids themselves are this whole other story. Leslie Mann's daughter is in a steady relationship with a boy, but she feels smothered by her mom, and she is considering going to university across the country so she can get away from the house. She's just overwhelmed by it all, and she feels that she's got a severe lack of freedom going on. John Cena's daughter is this really smart, really athletic model student, but once she finds out that her father doesn't trust her to make the right choices, she becomes really hurt by that and starts doing more rebellious things because of it. And then you've got Ike Barinholtz's daughter, who is this shy, awkward, kind of nerdy girl who's just sort of discovering that she might be gay and hasn't come out to anybody, not even her best friends yet. And she's trying to hide this and go along for the ride and be like, yeah, I'm going to have sex with a boy on prom night too, because boys are totally who I'm into. It's going to be great. So these poor kids are trying to have fun, but under this severe amount of pressure. The parents are just bearing down on them like a wrecking ball and freaking out at every turn. And you've got this mixture of just pure chaos, and Blockers juggles it all really well and gives all 6 of these characters the moments they need to grow and to overcome whatever's bothering them, and do it all in a really funny and really touching and endearing way. I think the best comedies are the ones that can make you get a little bit choked up while they're making you laugh. All good comedies have an inherent sweetness to them, and an inherent innocence and emotional complexity that hides under this sort of, mask of jubilance that gets thrown around. And even something as raunchy as Superbad, when you look at Superbad again, that is a very sweet, touching movie about 2 best friends who are afraid to lose each other once they leave high school. Take away the fact that they're desperate to get laid, take away all the raunchy exploits with, crazy drunk cops and hobos and underage drinking and all that crazy stuff. Take that all away and you've still got a very powerful story about 2 friends who just love each other and are missing each other because they know that their time together is coming to an end. And that is what elevates good comedy to great comedy. The final product, that is Blockers, doesn't do this as well, but it understands that you should do this, and it does do it. And that's why I think it is a little bit above and beyond the majority of the comedies we've gotten lately. There is very, very little to spoil about this movie. I mean, there's nothing crazy in terms of plot that you're not gonna see coming. The spoiler section in this video is gonna be a little light on anything significant. I will put a warning up just in case you want to be 100% surprised by everything. In which case, maybe stop now. But really, everything I'm about to say is so minor, it's just details at this point. Details that I thought stood out more because, it's not something that the trailer made apparent. If you have a problem with nudity, particularly male nudity, stay away from Blockers. Because if there's anything that this movie did that I totally did not expect, was it showed a lot of penis. I'm just gonna go right ahead and say it. A lot of man groin gets displayed in this film, both front and back. The front and back of man groin is everywhere. It's fine. It's funny. It was really funny the way that they did this, but if you're the kind of person who flinches at the sight of genitalia, maybe hold off on this one just for a little bit, just until you can get yourself over that hump. Another word of warning. If you're the kind of person who feels queasy if you see other people throwing up, again, maybe steer clear of Blockers. I've made a handful of short films and things in my time, but I don't know all the tricks of the trade. I don't know what Hollywood does, whether it's a special effect or whatever, when a character has to vomit. I don't know what they do if they... I know in The Exorcist they put pea soup in Linda Blair's mouth. They do little tricks like that. In the modern era, I don't know if they use CGI or what, but there's a scene in this movie where people start vomiting. And it is the most disturbingly graphic, realistic vomiting I have ever seen in a motion picture. I'm going to go right ahead and say it. If there's an award for that, Blockers wins. Period. It is the chunkiest, most detailed puke. Okay, I'm going to stop there because this. But So if you're the kind of person who can't see something like that without getting squeamish, maybe close your eyes for that part and you'll know when it's coming. But that got a huge uproar from the audience. Like, everybody was in hysterics because of how over the top the vomiting was. Picture the scene from Team America, but in live action, so it's much more disturbing. I want somebody to make a GIF of that when this movie comes out on Blu-ray. There's a scene that sort of kickstarts the whole movie, and it was in the trailer, where Leslie Mann's daughter left her laptop open, and the girls' group chat, their text group chat, was happening on the laptop as well. So the three parents are huddled around and they're like, oh my God, look what they're saying to each other. And it was all a bunch of emojis depicting various sexual things. And in the trailer, they showed quite a bit of that scene and it was really funny. But there's even more to it in the movie. Like, it goes on for a little bit longer. And I wish it kept going. Like, I could have watched 10 minutes of those three parents sitting around trying to decipher emoticon chat like as if it was like a Rebus puzzle or something. That scene we all saw where the girls put those two emojis with the finger and the whole like this, and John Cena is completely in denial that they're talking about sex, and he's just like, oh, maybe they're saying you're okay with me, hey, you're okay with me. I was dying on like the way that the three parents just played off each other, and Cena was the picture of innocence, and he's trying to find all these completely G-rated meanings in these pictures, while Leslie Mann is just panicking and crying, and Ike Barinholtz is the one who's telling them, like, that means a dick, that means cocaine. And it's just, they're all three of them are losing their collective shit in various ways. The movie does such a great job of having these characters go through the same thing together, but deal with it in their own unique ways that suit the characters. Like I said, we saw it in the trailer where Cena is trying to reason, and he's like, oh, they're just saying you're okay with me. But in the film, it carries on and it becomes like this argument, and the texts keep coming and everybody's yelling, and Ike Barinholtz is like, when have you ever said that? When have you ever told a friend that they're okay with you? Like I said, I could have watched 10 more minutes of that. Now, eventually the climax of Blockers, it all culminates in this hotel where all the kids of prom night have gathered to get their freak on. The three girls go off with their respective boys, and sex does start to happen, and the parents are right there, leading the charge, trying to stop it. And that's when everything sort of comes to a head. One by one, our parents grow up, and for the first time in the movie, they stop trying to force what they think is the right thing on their children, and instead speak to their children as equals. And I think that was just really beautiful. And all three of those scenes were handled incredibly well, but for me, the cream of the crop was the scene between Ike Barinholtz and his daughter. The girl who played his daughter, I'm not sure what her name is. I don't think I've seen her before in anything. But she was, of the three girls, she was the youngest looking and the youngest sounding. Like, she seemed significantly, like the actress seemed significantly younger than the other two actresses. So she had even more of this just sort of wide-eyed innocence and like childlikeness to her. So when you see like this poor kid who is just, she's miserable all night long because she's pretty sure she's gay. She's like 99.9% sure she's gay. She's got a crush on this other girl in her class. And meanwhile, she's running around with this boy who she does not give a rat's ass about, but she feels bad that she's leading him on, and she feels bad that she's lied to her friends, but she wants to be part of the sex pact because she loves her friends. And in the meantime, she hates her dad because, they had a falling out. You feel so bad for this poor kid. And then at the end of it all, when everything kind of comes to a head in the hotel, Ike Barinholtz sits down for the first time in the movie and just talks one-on-one with his daughter, and they have like a heart-to-heart. That to me, that was like the sweetest moment. That really gets you. It's such a beautiful father-daughter relationship that they end up having, and it's so sweet. It really is a very sweet story. And again, that's what's great about Blockers. There's three families happening here. There's three stories, and you could eliminate any two of them, and the one you'd be left with is still a really good story. But they just give you three of those. But because of that scene, the Ike Barinholtz one really was my favorite. I mean, they give you the impression early on that he is this very like immature goofball kind of man who ruined his marriage, and then you find out there's a lot more to it than that, and that his wife, in fact, was not the greatest of wives either. He just feels like a man who's full of regret, and he hates his life, and he's just a miserable, like, womanizing child man idiot. But at the end of it all, you know, when he sits down with his daughter and he talks to her, he says, you know, I only have one regret ever in my whole life. And that regret is that I let this whole divorce and everything ruin my relationship with you. Because that you are, you know, my world. You're my daughter. And that was like, I'm getting kind of choked up just talking about the scene. Like, it was so sweet. And when they finally, you know, make amends and she tells him, she's like, Dad, I'm pretty sure I'm gay. He says, like, am I the first one you told? And he's so overjoyed that he was the first one that she told, and he's so proud, and it's wonderful, and it's cute. It's just a sweet, sweet scene in a sweet, sweet movie that also happens to be amazingly funny. You know, it wasn't quite firing on all cylinders all the time like something like Hot Fuzz or Superbad was, but it hit all the right notes. It didn't fall into the trap that I find a lot of comedies lately have fallen into, cough, Neighbors 2, cough, where it ends really abruptly with basically nothing. Like, it ends on a scene that is literally nothing. Seriously, watch Neighbors 2 and tell me what that ending does for you, because the answer is nothing. It will do nothing for you. Blockers avoids that and has a good chunky ending with a resolution and a falling action and all that good stuff. It hits all the right beats. It makes you laugh. It chokes you up a little bit. And it's a great story. At the end of the day, it is a great story. And I'm curious to talk to people I know who are parents and see what they think of this movie. And you know what? A shout out to the 3 boys, too. A shout out to the 3 dates the girls take to the prom, because it would have been so easy to make all 3 of these guys just a bunch of horny douchebags who were like, yeah, I'm going to get some. No, all 3 of the boys were, yeah, they were horny because they were teenagers, and they were all like, yeah, I'm going to score with this cute chick. But when it gets right down to it, and, you know, you get to know all 3 of the boys, they're good guys. They're good kids. Sure, one of them is a drug dealer, but he's a good kid, and he's just kind of like a mellow dude, and, you know, he's respectful. All 3 of them are respectful to the girls. This movie was very forward-thinking and very mature with all of its characters. Nobody felt like a stereotype to me. Everybody just felt like a real human being. For that, Blockers gets very high marks from me. So check out Blockers. You're going to have a lot of fun. You might even tear up a little like I did, just saying. Anyway, that has been Thumb Together. My name is Andrew Fantasia. I'll see you next time. Until then, adios.